in a variety of ways. And I am here to talk about how we as a women's organization are engaging with the mainstream media and how we are always looking for alternative platforms to insert a feminist dimension to the public discourse. The way we got into new media was we engaged in research in 2011 and 12 on women's engagement with new media in the margins of the Sri Lankan state. And to give some background to this, Sri Lanka presents itself as a country in South Asia that has high social development indicators, but there is a significant gap between men and women when you look at access, especially to resources and avenues of decision making. A more critical perspective of these achievements and these indicators would show that we have the lowest participation of political participation of women in South Asia, and that there is a high prevalence of structural and social violence against women. And these things clearly indicate that Sri Lankan women continue to face challenges in relation to ensuring state compliance with international treaties and conventions, because we have agreed to and ratified the CEDAW Convention and the Beijing Platform for Action. So again, there were many changes in households and family structures after the war, and there has been an extreme increase in the number of female-headed households to approximately 24% of the population. And this signals an urgent need to address the concerns of women across age groups. And as can be expected, spaces for critical perspectives on such issues are very few in the mainstream media, and this is an issue that WNC grapples with very often when dealing with mainstream media. So that would be something valuable to discuss later maybe.
I have learned to use new media by experimenting and exploring it. I use Twitter, blog, Flickr, Facebook and so on for my profession. I mostly tweet with photos via my mobile while covering a protest or an event, immediately from the spot wherever I may be, maybe in Sri Lanka, maybe abroad. The new media has taught me to use the tools creatively, efficiently and effectively. I have always been using my own name for the articles and photos. I believe it carries more weight rather than publishing the articles and photos under a pseudonym or being anonymous. I have been attacked verbally through endless emails. If and when I cover Tamil festivals or ex-combatants or a non-Tamil event or issues such as Muslim internally displaced persons or land grabbing in the name of development in a single area. The people who are involved in the hate speech, mostly Tamil diaspora and pro-government people, including single diaspora and sometimes Muslim fundamentalists. I continue to cover the sensitive issues despite the hate speech and various names called. I use new media to cover issues related to human rights and so on. I have been both called terrorist and traitor. For me, safety versus passion. Because sometimes when I cover sensitive issues, I have to think carefully before tweeting or blogging. Although my blog says copyrights reserved, I have a huge issue of my photos often being used without permission on websites and local newspaper, especially the Tamil newspapers, which is quite painful, and also sometimes it puts me into security risk. I just want to compete with the traditional media, and whenever I cover, especially the protest, I just want to tweet from then and there with the photo. So that I have male photojournalists who come to the spot to cover it, because they say like, Dushi, Mama dakka oyage photo. I just saw your photo from Little Circus, so I just rushed to cover a protest before it ends. I have been asked to stay aside and then hold on to their lens. Most of them are in exile, unfortunately, but then I said, I'm here to click my own photo. I'm not here to, carry your lens. They said, Mama, pintura denna. I can give you a photograph. I said, no, I want my photograph. So like it was an initial step, but then I still feel not many female journalists are carrying cameras, big professional cameras, and also especially covering protests like this. I had to really fight with 50 men to have my space, and then they will try to push and pull, but then it's up to me to decide to have that space and also secure till the protest ends. And also I was challenged by many of my male colleagues in the field of journalism that women cannot be a professional photojournalist. Especially women are unable to take photos related to military, which of course I have proven the other way around, because I have been on few embeds and also the recent coverage in the Vanni also I have managed to capture certain military photographs. And also these male colleagues of mine often told me that women are digitally challenged. We cannot operate a mobile phone or a BlackBerry phone, or we don't know the functions of a camera. Technical wise, that we can handle the cameras, we can handle the smartphones and so on and so forth. I'm a self-taught photojournalist. I update my blog and then tweet on my own. I don't have a second person to update it, so I really have to keep updated of new techniques available. Then I use new media to reach out to the mainstream. A couple of Tamil newspapers and Tamil websites have got back to me saying that I saw or we saw this particular news or the article on your web or the blog, so can we use it? But then they fail to give the credit, but then they saw it, especially when I covered the women ex-combatants and the challenges they face by the society in the north. So they just saw it, and including IOM, they wanted to really go back to this ex-combatants and to revisit to see what can be done to these women in the north, because safety, security is threatened, but on the other hand, they are facing a lot of problems by the society itself, which IOM was not aware of. New media is a never-ending learning process for me. I am glad that I embraced it few years ago, and I will continue to experiment and explore it.
තමන්ගේ කියන්න දෙන දේ කියන තමන්ට අනිත් ටික ගන්නවා කරන්න තමයි මේක පටන් ගන්න. ඉතින් එතනදී ඒගොල්ලන්ට හුඟක් වෙලාවට උත්තේජනයක් එන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන් වටේ ඉන්න මේ තාක්ෂණය ගන්න එක. හුඟක් වෙලාවට අයියා කෙනෙක් මට කෙනෙක් කවුරු හරි ආවෙත් තමයි බ්ලොග් ගැන ගන්න කෙනෙක්ගේ බ්ලොග් එකක් දැකලා අනේ මටත් මෙහෙම එකක් තියෙනවා නම් කියන එක හරහා ඒ ඔස්සේ අනිත් අයගේ උදව්වෙන් තමයි ඒගොල්ලෝ එතනට එන්නේ. තමන්ගේ ශක්තිය තමන්ම බ්ලොග් එකක් හදාගෙන ඊළඟ කාරණේ තමයි තමන්ගේ නම පාවිච්චි කරන එක. අපි මතක කතා කරන්නේ ආරක්ෂාව සහ ඒ දේවල් සම්බන්ධව ඉතින් මෙතන හුඟක් වෙලාවට දක්වන්න පුළුවන් දෙයක් තමයි බ්ලොග් කියන දවස 90% විතර පාවිච්චි කරන්න නිර්මාණික. එතනදී එකක් මම හිතන්නේ අපිට තියෙන දේවල් බෙදා ගැනීමේදී ගැටලුවක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මම කියන දේ අනිත් කෙනා දැන් මට මගේ නමත් එක්ක විවෘතව මට තියෙන දේ එකකට අනිත් කෙනා කොහොමද මාව දකින්නේ කියන ප්‍රශ්නෙට මට මුණ දෙන්න තියෙන බැරි තමයි පුළුවන්. ඒක හේතුව.
So if you have a Facebook account, you are going to be openly known to have that Facebook account. And so the content that you post, unless you explicitly said that it needs to be private, is going to be in the public domain for Facebook searchers. Now the problem is this: Facebook makes it very difficult to make your content private. There are ways of doing it, but it's not easy. And this requires some kind of understanding and awareness about those settings at the upper right-hand corner of your Facebook account, about going and making those settings private. If you don't do it, chances are that the content that you put up on Facebook that you think might be only for your friends are going to be open to a far larger network of 1 billion plus people around.
Generating content, so women generating content about women, about women's issues, and then maybe going a bit beyond, and as journalists, how can you step away from mainstream media and participate in the online content generation process. Of speech, freedom of expression is one of our basic rights and one of, I feel, our most important rights, especially given the media environment today. And there is this need for accurate information dissemination, active content generation, especially, Sanjivika, she was talking about these various issues and these very gender issues and these gender norms that exist that nobody is challenging, especially in the mainstream media. Everything from the way things are reported to, even I was telling Sachin, the stock photos used in Daily Mirror when talking about rape and abuse. There is no place to really challenge these norms in mainstream media. So it's very important that we use new media as a platform to do these things. So it is an alternate platform and it is a much wider platform. So I personally, I think I have a little bit of a handle on what I really want to use to get my message across. So if you're not already familiar with it, it's well worth your time to do some Googling, do a little bit of research to see what is more suitable for you to publish your content on. So this is just what I found, but long form content I use blogs, my blog primarily. You can use Tumblr, YouTube, and if your blog grows, you can turn it into a website, or if you are doing it as a collective, also your website is better. Short forms are more for opinion pieces. Twitter, I am very vocal on Twitter also, but also Facebook updates. Photographs, again, Flickr, Facebook, publishing, and dissemination, again, Twitter and Facebook are great tools. I've grown to, I have this innate suspicion of it, I think. And I hate the idea that somebody could Google my name and my blog would turn up. So I think that is really why I don't blog under my name. And I think around the pseudonym I've created a particular identity. It's not a false identity, but it's an online reflection of myself and my ideas. A lot of people, there's an email address on it if you want to get in touch with me, you can contact me. A lot of people here know the blog, know who I am, so I don't think I'm particularly anonymous. But I think it's mainly because of this reason of I don't want to Google my name at this thing anymore. Not because I'm ashamed of what's on it, but because I don't know the repercussions of it. I don't understand the way the internet works to that extent. And I don't know if a future employer Googles my name and they discover something I wrote while I was various, you have these trolls and then you have particularly hateful trolls. So some people will comment to get a rise out of you and some people will actually mean violence. I haven't had anything violent towards me, but I have had rude comments, and I used to allow them because I used to have this idea that people should be able to say whatever they want. But then as I've grown older, I think I've taken a more grandmotherly approach to it. Literally what my grandmother says is if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. So I only literally I have comment moderation on, and I literally only allow comments that are productive, that are conducive to a discussion. If they're just attacking me or attacking my readers, then I just don't publish the comment. And I think it's created, it does curtail comments, but on the other hand, it creates an environment where I don't hate to information, know your angle, know the information you want to put out, know the identity you want to create, and then choose your platform, and finally use it. You can't not use it. I think the way the world and internet is moving now. If you really want your voice to be heard, you need to use the media. Thank you.
And, it wasn't just me, and not everyone was Muslim. We had a lot of non-Muslim people who volunteered with us also. And so they'd act out the scene basically when the harasser is. It was all pretend. They were all acting. He wasn't really harassing her on purpose. They were acting. And so we make a scene, and the bystander had the major part in asking the harasser, saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing harassing the girl?" Just so that we will see what the actual people in the bus and how they would react. Most of the time in the buses, we didn't have much of a reaction, which was very unfortunate, but there was one time when there was this one uncle that got up and almost hit one of the guys saying what are you doing, and So that was pretty